Oh my god. We're genuinely back kind of doing a horror-esque thing. So for once, for the first time in so long, the theme music actually fits the
Bits.
thing.
That's right. New season here. New season. We are off our superhero kick, kind of, unless you're on our Patreon, because then we're still kicking ass on our Patreon. They're doing the Marvel
We're
Cinematic
deep
Universe
into the
rewatch.
MCU at this point. Like
Yeah,
we're almost done with phase 2 already.
yeah, getting there, getting closer. If you
Oh
haven't seen them
god,
on the
my
main
face
channel, it's
is
because
so
you're not a
clean.
member. It is.
I don't like
Um,
it.
But join our Patreon, join our membership if you do want to watch those, because that's a lot of fun we're having there. But we finish up Superman on the main channel, and we are on to our next season, which we have declared a crossover season, which we like to do every once in a while. We are crossing over Ghostbusters and Men in Black, and this promises to be a fun, fun journey. As we both love, at least I would say 90% of these films.
Yeah, 100%. And we had a couple of people like our executive producer, Kim Denuzzo. I'm just gonna call her that from now on, being like, I don't understand why you guys are using these two together. And I was like, I mean, they're both blue collar horror sci-fi comedies about people dealing with threats bigger than themselves and our known world.
Yeah, just
Like, and they've
ghosts,
crossed over a bunch
aliens.
in the
That's it.
comics, and there's honestly, like, Ghostbusters and Men in Black also make such fantastic double features just in general, like those first
Right,
movies, because they're very similar.
right,
Both tonally, there's a lot of actually, like, similar jokes and things as well,
right.
um, which we'll get into later, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things I can't wait to talk about with this is why I tried so hard to back in the day when we were working on the Schmodown and we were trying to expand Inner Geekdom. I tried so hard to get Ghostbusters in, and I had so many people pushing back on us, going, "It's not geek stuff." And I was like, "You have to understand." Ghostbusters has survived not just the movie franchise, it had a long running Saturday morning cartoon, a second long running Saturday morning cartoon, comic books, video games, crossover board games. Like it Ghostbusters has people dressing up across the country running around in proton packs still to this day.
Uh,
There's Ghostbusters like core out there that all are involved in things. Like
and
if
it's a
you want
core 1980s
and
sci-fi thing. I mean, hell,
yeah,
Stranger Things had their kids dress up as like an iconic 80s thing,
yeah. So miss me with Ghostbusters doesn't fit in inner geekdom,
Yeah,
you nerds.
yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely mixed.
That's
Everything.
gatekeeping bullshit. If we had Men in Black, why did we not have Ghostbusters?
That's the weirdest part. If you took Men in Black out, I guess it'd be a little. They have a little bit more of an argument, but even so, I still don't agree. Men in Black was a comic first, I believe, though. Correct?
Yes, yes, yes,
That's where
from
it comes from.
Malibu, an
That's where it
imprint of
stems from.
Marvel. Yes, 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 but that's beside
Just saying, I'm just
Ghostbusters
throwing it out there.
also had Dark Horse Comics.
Oh,
Then
I
it
get it.
had I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't be yelling at you. This is because I shaved my face and I'm frustrated about it still even a week later.
Yeah, I get that. I always
No,
get
it
frustrated
was
when I see.
not intentional. You know that. I woke up last week and I was like, I need to clean up my beard. It's been a little bit, or what facial hair I have. I'm not really gonna call it fully a beard, but the facial hair that I have, and I was trying to clean it up, and I like the razor just nicked it so wrong, and there
You're
was no salvaging it, and I was all,
You lost your charming scruff.
yeah, well, it's kind of back, but now it's
You're getting there. You'll
baby
get there,
scruff.
Rack. It's
It's
baby
baby
scruff.
scruff. And
I get you with that, though. I get you with the Ghostbusters thing. I agree that Ghostbusters should have been in Inner Geekdom as well. It feels like it's just exactly what does like all the Inner Geekdom films have that Ghostbusters didn't have? Nothing. Honestly, it was
yeah.
exactly the same type of audience, exactly the same type of thing, and it became a geek factor convention thing. It's the same exact thing. So
Well,
Ghostbusters should have absolutely been
it
in
was the
both.
same thing where we tried to put G.I. Joe in and they got all weird about that too, but we had Transformers. I was like, why can you have one and not the other?
Right, especially that they were gonna have a crossover themselves at one point. I mean, they did in the
Yeah,
comics, obviously, and so it's the
a
same type of
lot.
thing. Hell, if we ever did Transformers, I'd probably say we do Transformers and GI Joe as a crossover as well. Probably,
Oh,
honestly,
100%.
one of those easy ones. I don't know if we're gonna do that anytime soon because we don't. I don't think we love those movies nearly as much as we love some of these other movies.
There's too much stuff I'd have to slog through to get to the
Yeah,
other side of that, to be
yeah,
honest.
absolutely. Yeah. I
I
will
don't know if
say
I'd be thrilled about it.
this. Talking about going back to this one. No, one reason I'm also very happy about this series is even the ones that I'm not as big on comparatively. There's no like Superman 4 in here. There's nothing like I absolutely hate or
No, no,
absolutely
no,
just
no.
awful. It's a couple I just like maybe like a little less, but it won't be as much as loud nearly, even to the worst ones of the franchise.
Um,
So
and I'd be remiss if we didn't bring it up, but it's kind of funny that we started this week because, of course, Ozzy Osbourne makes a small cameo in 2016's Ghostbusters.
that's right.
And so I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up the passing of icon, legend, and all around amazing human who went out in the most metal way possible,
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne, because we recorded our podcast Sunday night, thing we don't normally do for. So our Winter Soldier one, so I guess technically we wouldn't have necessarily talked about it anyway,
Right.
because it would have been a Patreon episode. But the news broke Tuesday morning that Ozzy Osbourne had passed away just, a couple of weeks after his final performance. And for like when the news broke, I immediately texted you as I sat on the couch just sobbing.
Yeah.
And like for those who don't realize like how much Ozzy meant to so many of us, when I saw him live in 2007, it's the only time I got to see him live. I literally broke the law to go see him live. I had my learner's permit to drive with no license. I took my parents' car, my high school girlfriend, and my two best friends from Sacramento to San Francisco to go see him live at Ozfest on a learner's permit.
Were your parents aware of the car being taken?
They don't seem to have cared. Now, that was 20 years ago almost, and whether or not they have forgiven me since is another thing entirely. But
Worth it.
worth it. I literally broke the law to go watch Ozzy Osbourne live.
And he would have appreciated that.
Yeah, and I've loved his music forever. He was a huge part of when I finally started coming into like my own music taste. He was what I would listen to. I remember taking back when Costco really sold lots of physical media, which was a glorious day for all of us. I remember walking through Costco with my mom and I found the Prince of Darkness box set in like 0304. It was like that big 4-disc box set that they did of his.
Yep.
And I was like, I need you to buy this for me. And she didn't even want it in the house because she was definitely one of those people who still like believed the worst side of him because of what so many people had like come to know him to be.
The Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness. And my dad, who kept calling him, even till last week, was still calling him the Prince of Hell. Who now, by the way, my dad. No, man, you know what? Dude raised $190 million for child cancer and Parkinson's research.
Oh, I know.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. But that being said, my dad's now watching the History Channel show featuring Ozzy Osbourne and Jack Osbourne, where they traveled the world together, going to famous landmarks and shit. And he's like, that Ozzy guy actually seemed very cool. And I was all, I've only been telling you that for 30 fucking years. Like, come on, man. But, Christian, being right, Christian, focused of like, we're always right about a thing and like can't get out of your own way. And now that they're both like, that Ozzy guy didn't seem so bad. And I was like, so anyway, I'm fucking really sad still about that. My bar friend Tony and I last Tuesday, we literally only played Sabbath and Ozzy at the bar.
Nice.
So everyone who came in was like, why is the music so loud and just so like,
dark,
metally? And we were like, it's Ozzy Day. That's it. Like, honestly, it should have been a national holiday. We should have all not gone to work and we should have just mourned Ozzy.
It's true. I gotta say, like, it's funny. I grew up. I'm obviously a little older than you are. I grew up during the '80s, during his heyday when he first like got big. And I honestly, I'll admit it now. I was not like a huge Ozzy guy back in the early part of my
How
like
fucking dare you?
Well, because I was more of like he was like I was not a heavy metal guy as much. I was much more like a pop rock kind of guy. So like Ozzy, but even I was gonna say like even though I wasn't in that circle, I wasn't in that heavy metal circle at that point. Like I was still drawn to him as a force. Like I knew who he was.
He was a presence, man.
He was a presence in my life and else. And I wasn't until like much later on, like maybe in the '90s and like when I was in college and beyond, when I got the Live and Loud box set or Live double disc or whatever.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is what I was missing. And I was like, Okay, so I'd always seen heavy metal as a different thing. There was Ozzy and like Metallica, and I was like, oh, like it brought me into this like whole
Yeah.
different universe at that point. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is fucking great. It's funny, I've been doing this best of collections for like a long time now. I don't know if you've mentioned this on Eric. It's been going through like Spotify or YouTube Music, whatever I'm
Sure.
doing, and I put every album, every song into this playlist. I go through it. I just kind of delete what I don't want,
Sure.
like to make my own little best stuff. I was doing the Ozzy one
There's
when
not
he
one you can
passed.
do.
And I was doing Ozzy one when he passed. That's when I was doing it. I was like, holy shit. But it's hard to do. It is hard to do. There's a whole lot of things like I can't cut that. I can't cut that. I can't cut that. I can't cut
The
that.
dude is too good. He remained too good. Like, even his new music, which, like, I'd argue, yes, it wasn't nearly as good as some of his old stuff. It was still really
Still
good. I liked
worthwhile.
that collab album he did, like his last album with like Elton John and
Yeah.
Post Malone and some of those guys. Like, that was really cool.
It was still fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Undercovers was great. If you've never listened to this, by the way, and this is real, if you look up Born to Be Wild, Ozzy Osbourne. So back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, the Muppets did an album called like Kermit Unchained or something like that. And it was him doing songs with other artists or some of the other Muppets. And so they did one with Ozzy Osbourne and Miss Piggy singing Born to Be Wild.
Wow.
And it is fucking hysterical for so many reasons, but also the song is like legitimately amazing because it's Ozzy.
Right.
I wish that they had made a music video for it but it works so well almost just as like an audio play also because there's like actually a lot of interaction between the characters and stuff. So it's just really fun.
Absolutely.
I really, really like it. And if you've never heard his version of Sympathy for the Devil, I know that the Stones version remains like the supreme for most people, but like even back in the day, and it was funny, I was talking to Shannon Barney about this because we were texting back and forth a little bit. And I was like, back when I wanted to play in the Schmodown, his version of Sympathy for the Devil was always the song in my head that I had wanted to come out for.
Of course. Absolutely.
Because it was Ozzy, it's his version of Sympathy for the Devil, and I just think it's so good. There's an entire album called Undercovers, and it's Ozzy doing a bunch of different songs, and there's including one with his daughter where they did a new version of Changes. That is just like beyond words excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so again, like certain things hit a certain way. This one really hit in a hard way, man. I think I always thought he was going to live forever. Like we all knew he was sick, but in your head, he's such that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he lived right up until the point. I think he was living for that final performance.
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt about it. He lived for that.
Absolutely. I mean, it is like because he was so sick, he took himself off painkillers, and but the performance itself was amazing. I gotta say, like I watched that performance backwards. I was bawling half the time when he did "Mama, I'm Coming Home." I just
sobbed.
I sobbed hysterically.
So it's funny you bring up the Mama I'm Coming Home performance because I actually forced everyone at my mystery movie night to watch it the other day because I programmed the night with trailers and stuff like that beforehand, but it started with the first part was the old World of Warcraft trailer that Ozzy was in.
Right, nice.
Which remains amazing, and then it cut to the performance of Mama I'm Coming Home, and everyone was like, you're a fucking monster, because everyone had been putting off watching it, and they'd only seen clips, so I played the entire portion of him doing Mama I'm Coming Home, and everyone's like crying. I was like, don't worry, the rest of the night will be fun, but like if I have to suffer, you also have to suffer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm a monster like that. So it sucks, man. It sucks. The whole thing, it does. It hurts. I don't know. I'm bummed,
It was really cool. I will say for me too, is like a sidebar in a way. I love about that Khan's performance is I am one of the few, like, I am a huge, and I mean huge fan. Everybody talks about Queen, and I love Queen. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's my favorite. But one of my favorite bands growing up was Extreme, which is not a favorite for a lot of people. Like a lot of people
No.
like it's more than words, guys. That's it. I'll go deeper. But either way,
Yeah, sure.
that concert featured Nuno Betancourt, guitarist of Extreme. And first of all, he was only supposed to do like 3 songs at first, and then I think Wolfgang Van Halen had to drop out or something. And all of a sudden, like, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, who's good friends with Nuno, said, "Can you just like really quickly do like 12 more?" He kind of had like quickly learned 12 more, and he really was actually, honestly, a lot of people would call him like the MVP, like outside of obviously Ozzy. Like the
Yeah,
MVP
and
of
of course,
stuff.
there's a couple of the the old school guys and just really amazing stuff. I have the entire concert on my hard drive, all 9 hours.
Youngblood and Nuno's version of Changes. Oof,
Oh my god, dude. Are you
so
kidding?
good.
That whole show was,
Well, the show was good. Yeah.
if you get a chance, if you can find it, it's really worth your time. I can't stress enough how amazingly like metal I feel like it is that Ozzy decided to get off his meds so he could be completely lucid and enjoy one last performance. Did all of it. It raised $190 million and went out on his own terms. Like I
Absolutely.
just, dude,
Oh,
it's fucking iconic in
it
a
is.
way that he already was.
Yeah.
It just solidified who he was.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's I think it's actually, honestly, I'm glad we're talking about it this week though, because I feel like he'd be more happy to talk about it from like Ghostbusters than,
Yeah,
than he would be Captain America. So it makes sense. So there we go.
dude, I just thought it was so funny because I was like, of course, like as we're getting into this franchise, because there will come a time that we talk about him a little bit in one of them, because it's really interesting. He never like pivoted to acting in a way that a lot of rock stars have tried to do. He would cameo and stuff, but he never like led a thing outside of
Right,
reality television where he played himself.
right. I don't think he really. Well, the thing is, honestly, as much as I love him, I don't know if he could have been an actor anyway. Just the way he speaks is very iconic and everything else, but
Right.
it's like so like cued into who he was that like him trying to play a character would have been just wrong in a way.
No, I don't disagree with you. So, but it was always just so funny because he'd pop up and stuff like just out of nowhere, and you're just like, there he is again.
Yep.
There's our boy just doing his thing. Like
There's our
it
boy.
just the best. And I mean, credit where credit's due. I think the way that he pivoted in the like 2000s to reality TV star Ozzy with his family
Yeah.
and made himself iconic to another generation for another reason. And it also allowed him to be back in the limelight enough to keep doing music the way that he did, like
Right.
on his own terms,
Yep.
was arguably the best thing he ever did.
Absolutely. It's
Like
a
I
smart
just,
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
some people made fun of it because of it, because I get like the idea of like, why are you doing this? Well, that's why. It's like you don't understand how important like it's
to not
some
age
people it's a
out.
sin. Some people think it's a sin. It's against art, but like it's something important to brand yourself, to keep branding and keep yourself in the public, because that's how the public rediscovers your older stuff.
Yeah.
Like because like bands like who don't do it, the older archaic bands who haven't done that, you don't hear about them anymore. They're dying out. Bands like Ozzy, men like Ozzy, bands like Queen, who would like put themselves in the movies and
Oh,
stuff like
Kiss.
that's Kiss. That's why you still hear about them even to this day. They still are selling records. They're still, getting high Spotify streams and everything else because they've kept themselves in the limelight, however possible. And that's not a bad thing.
No, that's why he worked with Post Malone.
100%.
And it's so funny because I remember when this happened, because it was during like COVID times. That first song with him and Post Malone came out, and the TikTok generation, being the TikTok generation, was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that Post Malone was so kind to work with this old man who clearly didn't know music." And you and I were about ready to fucking throw shit because so many of them had been saying that Post Malone discovered Ozzy, and you and I were like, "I'm about to fucking jump through a screen." Because I was
That's
ready to
happened a
throw
couple of times
hands.
with this generation. I still remember the Kanye working with Paul McCartney or whatever it was.
Yeah.
At that point. Oh, then I was thinking, who's this old guy? Who's Paul McCartney? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Same,
I
same,
can't believe
man.
Post
Same thing.
Malone discovered Ozzy. No, you stop that. You stop that right now.
He is iconic, godlike creature. So you can stop and shut your mouth. But
Shut your whore mouth.
your whore mouth.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah, man. Really
so
unreal.
yeah,
Really unreal. I was really bummed out, but also, man, what a legend. What
legend,
a legacy.
legend.
All his work with Sabbath, everything he did solo, like
No.
the guy has honestly, it's almost as close to bulletproof in a discography as you could ask for. There's very few of those albums. There's not one album of his I would skip. There might be songs on some of the later albums I don't like as much as some of the more iconic stuff, but like every album is great. Every album has at least 4 songs that I have on rotation
Right.
at any given time.
Absolutely, 100%. He's just one of those guys that just he never really. He always had jams, no matter what was going on. He always had jams.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for him.
I'm
But
sad, man, but
I
I'm
am
I'm
too.
but happy, but
But
sad.
yeah, I'm not as sad as I was like a week ago. It was a really
No, no.
bald week ago, but like time heals in a little bit, and we know like, who he is, and his legacy will last forever. And he'll always be with us as soon as he played that music in the background. It starts playing,
You
and
played that funky music, white boy.
he did play that funky music. What was I just watched recently? That opened up with an Ozzy song, and I was like, "Well, this is like poetic. Something new that
Oh, no, it was the Peacemaker trailer.
Pacemaker Trail. That's what it was. Okay.
Funny enough, I had the
I was
same
like,
thought, and that was not an intentional thing,
right,
because
yeah,
clearly that was already edited beforehand.
right. After that, I was kind of like, "What?" That's what it was. I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, it
Okay.
caught me off guard because I finally watched the trailer yesterday.
Okay.
I actually waited. It took me a little bit to get to it. It's been a long weekend. I've had a lot going on. So I finally got to the trailer and it started and the music started and I was all, motherfucker.
Really?
Now I'm getting all teary-eyed again and shit. But
Absolutely.
Peacemaker looks good.
Yeah.
It did exactly what we thought it was going to do.
Yep.
Fucking fantasy chat got one dude in there just running his mouth after all of us were like, you mean the thing we said it was going to do? And he was so against it.
Yep.
And now suddenly he's like coolly embracing it. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, my friend.
You think he'll listen? Probably not.
Fuck no. I don't think he's ever listened to our podcast once in his life.
We'll find out
And if he has, it'll be this one.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah. Jacob, go fuck yourself.
Well, there you go.
Also, I have to say, banner year for comic book films in a summer for the first time in so long. Now, having seen Fantastic Four First Steps, having seen Superman, and having seen Thunderbolts,
Yeah.
we as fans won this year.
Oh, we are cooking. Yeah, there's a lot of people putting on the Superman versus Fantastic Four thing. Even I'm going to do it technically on like a class action, but that's a joke. That's like a fun kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
they're both good. They raise us both up. We both get to like.
Yeah. A rising tide lifts all ships.
Absolutely. Thank you. Looking for that quote.
I
And Thunderbolts the same way. Thunderbolts, I'd wrap that right in there because Thunderbolts was so freaking good. So I mean, that's a pretty solid threesome in a row.
Dude, and I gotta say, Fantastic Four, the more I sit with it, I haven't seen it again yet, but the more I sit with it, the more I like it.
I haven't seen it again either.
Biggest complaint. Yeah, my biggest complaint remains it's about 15 minutes too short.
I agree.
And you can tell.
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
problem.
Like some characters got a little shafted for it in a way, but like it's more important is that the vibe was just so perfect. That's the important thing. The vibe was perfect. The character camaraderie, the characters themselves were perfect. I just wanted more of them pretty much at this point. And like just things seemed a little easy because they had to edit things down and cut things out.
Yeah, the Natasha Lyonne stuff in particular with Ben is like Ben and Natasha Lyonne are the two characters who really suffer the most.
Yeah.
I think that's something that can be fixed later in time.
I think so too.
But otherwise, like I really, really enjoyed it. It's the best Star Trek movie probably since Wrath of Khan. And that's not like a joke. That's real. Like it's really not a superhero movie. Like it is, but it's not. It's really a Star Trek film. And it's funny because Shackman was going to do Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
And didn't get to do that. And then you watch this and you're like, well, no, he did. He did get to do Star Trek in the end.
Via like some interstellar type visuals that he wants to pull off. I think he's got it.
God. There's a sequence midway through the film involving the Silver Surfer and an escape from Galactus that is straight up some of the coolest space stuff I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, absolutely. It's brilliantly done. Brilliantly done.
It's insane. And the moment you think it's over, it keeps going and in like not in a bad way. You're like, oh my God, like it raises the stakes every time it like turns a corner.
Right.
It's really great filmmaking. And I love that both between this, Thunderbolts, and Superman, every one of these films is like, you're not alone. One of them is be kind. It's punk rock. Like, just be good to other people. And the other one is like, lean on your family.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're getting like such wholesome messaging now again out of these films. And it's actually making me a little emotional because I was tired of shit being so cynical.
Yeah, me too.
And for two people who are so positive, it's been amazing that the three takeaways from those three films has literally been that. And how fucking cool.
It's very cool, man. It's very, very cool.
It's very cool.
We both wanted, and something we both were hoping that was going to be the case because it made sense. I mean, because Fantastic Four has always been that way. We were just hoping for a good Fantastic Four movie finally, and we got that. And for Superman, we knew what we were getting with Gunn. We had some possible misgivings about, cast size, about whether Gunn's humor would
Characters and stuff, yeah.
be overwhelming, because sometimes his humor can be a little overwhelming depending on, like, it fits for Guardians of the Galaxy, can it fit for Superman? But all of our worries pretty much went out the window. We're like, nope, they pretty much nailed it. They pretty much nailed it going forward. So hopefully this just keeps continuing. And I'm so interested in the DCU now because of Superman, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where the MCU is going.
I'm actually excited for the future of the MCU in a way that I hadn't been in a while.
There are people who actually like the MCU film, even like the
you and I both do. Don't get me wrong, but like I didn't feel as optimistic.
There was definitely a lack of focus for a while.
Yeah, and now, and also Jake Shire doing
X-Men?
Jake Shire,
yeah.
Doing X-Men is like huge for me because everything he did with Thunderbolts is exactly why he should be doing X-Men.
Absolutely,
an entire franchise of characters built on trauma and like personal growth. That dude is gonna fucking kill it.
He's gonna nail it. Absolutely,
Bob. I swear to God, if you hit me with a sign again, I'm on meth. I'm sorry. Anyway, if you haven't seen those movies, please go check them out. This has been your weekly podcast of nonsense and banter, but I'm so excited because
the funny thing is, before you go in, I'll say one last thing. The funny thing is, we even bantered 15, 20 minutes before we went live. Or before we recorded, so you would add like 45 to 50 minutes if I actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of it was about like the dumbest thing imaginable, and it's gonna sound so like extra nerdy, like with a side of really fucking geeky. We were talking about the Robert Langdon books and like their place in the like the movies doing things out of order and like moving the books around and why sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, and then going down a rabbit hole where we realize that they're making another Robert Langdon TV show after the initial Robert Langdon TV show that Peacock did, which was actually a prequel to the Robert Langdon movies. It's this whole thing. So anyway, for those who don't know who Robert Langdon is, or if you don't really like recognize the name, he's like the intellectual Indiana Jones character that Dan Brown writes in Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons and Lost Symbol and Inferno and Origin, and now The Secret of Secrets, the new book, the first one in 8 years.
Yeah.
Good Lord, what is time?
I have no idea. I know what else is what is time. This movie being as old as this.
Oh my God. 1984.
1984.
41 years.
Holy shit. But I will say,
it's older than both of us.
No, it's not older than me. You're trying to help me out. I take it. I get it. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to help you.
I saw this in the theaters, man. I saw this in theaters with my mom.
I saw this in theaters too.
I thought the theaters
in a re-release.
When it first came out. Doing his first PG-13, I think at that point, or maybe PG. I can't remember.
No, it was PG. It was always PG. It remains PG, even with a ghost blowjob joke. It remains PG.
I just remember being a little awkward. I don't think I got the blowjob joke, but I think I did get the dickless joke, and I was a little like awkward about that.
This man has no dick.
This man has no dick. I will say though, it was. I texted you this. It was so nice getting to sit down to a movie that I knew I loved. B, I knew there was absolutely no chance that whatever viewing this is for me, which is probably in the 200s at this point, was ever going to like change. Like, sometimes viewing change our minds on film. We've been through that on this podcast where we're like, yeah, this would change it. this was not going to change. It was going to be great. I was going to be loving it, and I knew I was going to love it, and I wasn't going to be bored. 200 whatever times later, I'm still not bored. And the best thing I texted you when I was watching, I didn't want to text you a whole lot because I wanted to save a lot of it for this. But I basically texted that all of my notes, which I write notes during every film we watch, like everyone except for in the theaters. I can't. I'm not going to be a hooligan. But when I'm at home watching the movie, I'll take detailed notes so I can go through and go, okay, this is what I want to talk about. I think 90% of my notes are just quotes from the film. Just quotes. Because I posit that this might be the most quotable film of all time.
Only second to, funny enough, which I texted back to you after, was very funny you say that, because Men in Black will also be up there when we get to it. Yeah. Which is, again, super funny because they so play off each other in that capacity.
They really do. It'll be fun getting there. By the way, if you don't know what we're doing, we are going to do Ghostbusters, and then we're going to go in chronological orders. We're not going to do all the Ghostbusters and all Men in Black. We're just going to do it like, Ghostbusters 2. I think Men in Black comes in next, and that kind of thing. We're just going to go as they were released. So pretty much almost be a Men in Black sandwich by Ghostbusters, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, which I'm okay with.
Yeah,
I remember the first time my parents put this on. I must have been 3. I was young. I was real young. Mm-hmm. We had it on VHS. My parents love this movie. Recently, they were rewatching them, and my mom was texting me, and she goes, "Don't ask me why, but we were rewatching Ghostbusters again, and all your dad can keep saying," and they were rewatching all of them, by the way. They were watching all of them.
Oh, wow.
Almost like they were getting ready for our podcast. I want to believe that's not what's happening, but I want to believe that.
Right.
I want to believe. Anyway, she goes, don't ask me why, but he keeps saying he wants a proton pack. Like, legitimately, she keeps going, all he keeps saying is he wants a proton pack, which just made me laugh because how funny, number one. But also, good Lord, my dad. Just wants a proton pack.
My Lord, indeed.
But it just made me laugh. And so, anyway, the first time we watched it, I remember loving it as a kid, but also being like genuinely terrified of it. And this is an argument that we'll get into when it comes to Afterlife later on. Mm-hmm. And the people who say that Ghostbusters was always made to be a comedy and it was never meant to be more than just a comedy. And we don't know why people talk about him supposed to be semi-horror, or why we treat all this stuff with so much reverence. Like there's all this deep lore. And it's like, for an entire generation of us, it was more than that. And this movie has its grip on a lot of us because after terrifying us as kids while also making us laugh, those cartoons and things like that just built up the characters and the lore and this world in so many different ways that we really came to love it in a different way. And it all goes back to this original film. Because in 84, when this dropped, this movie was like lights out, man.
Yes.
And it was huge because, initially this was originally written by Aykroyd back in like 81. He had written it for him and John Belushi. Then, of course, Belushi left his mortal coil. And there was this whole like, what are we going to do with it? So he sent the script to Ivan, and Ivan was reading it, and he was like, we can't make this movie for less than $300 million in the 80s. Wow. We have to find another way to make this work. Right. So they brought in Harold Ramis to help rewrite the movie, and out of that was born what Ghostbusters became. And honestly, I think with Harold Ramis stepping in to do what he did to help like write it and bring it into this like more blue collar fold and making it more grounded in modern day like New York and dealing with it as a smaller events leading to a big event, not this thing where these guys are like fighting hell itself, basically.
Right, it really made this.
Yeah,
that feels like that's a very Aykroyd thing. You don't always hear about his like writing the sequels and everything. Like, he always wants to take it like a step further and take it into this like beyond realm. I think that Ramis really grounded it a little bit. And it's funny to use the word grounded in a Ghostbusters film. They did bring it back to a little bit of grounding, and he basically really chose New York City as like the main character of the film almost. Like it's one of those films there's a list of those films. Michael Mann does it quite often, but like when a city becomes a character, you can really feel it. This is a New York City movie. In fact,
Correct.
so much so that one of my few qualms about Afterlife is that it just didn't feel, it never felt completely right being away from New York City. Got to be honest with you. I still like the film, and we'll get into that much later on as we get to it. But I did miss it. I was very happy to see him go back to New York and Frozen Empire because it just feels like Ghostbusters almost needs to be in New York.
Well, and as I've told you, I 100% see where you're coming from, and I understand that. But I actually, and again, we'll get to it obviously later. But I do think that Afterlife has its place where it is because it's built into why. And that's why I'm so forgiving to that one because they build a why into why it wouldn't be in New York.
I get it. But I still
Um,
feel they shouldn't have to. But that's a different story again.
well, it's one of those things that you're just gonna do,
Yeah. I think they
Um,
realized it. Honestly, I would argue that I think they realized it. And that's why I was back in New York with Frozen Empire. I think that's what
I
happened.
would disagree with that because the movie ends with them back in New York.
I think
It's
that's
not a pivot.
exactly.
It was already the idea.
We'll see.
Like the movie literally ends with them in New York. So you can't say that they decided after the fact. They clearly had the idea to go back.
Okay,
It was
maybe.
just you have to get
I
there.
might be misremembering, so that could be good. It's been a while since I've watched the film, so I need to
Yes,
watch it over
the
so.
Afterlife ends with them back in New York.
Okay, all right, fair. Well, then they knew better. They should have never left New York then. But that's
No, you need to, buddy.
I
I
will stick
love
with
you.
that.
Take the rose-tinted glasses off. It's okay sometimes for certain things to do certain things.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Shut up, old man.
we will get to that later on. This is not about Afterlife. This is about the original, which you both can always agree 100% on. So,
Our single brain cell is fighting again. This movie ended up making like so much money in '84, enough that, of course, calls for a sequel became very apparent. But a big part of what makes this movie special is that it clocks in at like what is it? 100, yeah, 105 minutes. The world building and the character work is so good in
holy shit.
105 minutes. You're reminded why sometimes you don't need to be a 2.5 hour movie.
My God, an
Um,
hour 45 minutes. I was like, almost all of my non-quote notes from the beginning are I basically go establishes Venkman immediately, establishes Ray immediately, establishes their friendship immediately. Like everything is just put out right in front. I need one half of a scene to go, okay, I know this character. I know this character. Oh, I see the relationship. I don't need in like an hour and a half to like build up this thing at all. It's just you give it to the right performers and they perform the right way, the right like lines of dialogue. You're all in. And that's what this film does with in spades. I mean, it has a great, probably one of the most iconic cold opens in movie history, as far as it goes.
the library opening.
Library opening, the old librarian seeing the ghosts and screaming, and the music kicks and everything else. But then we get these characters, and it's like, oh my God, these are like iconic characters right out the get. I have to admit, I'm curious. I'm very curious to go visit that alternate universe where Belushi didn't die and Belushi made Ghostbusters. But I can't see how it would be better. And I love John Belushi.
I do too. It would have been very different. And I
Very.
think a big part of that is because when you watch this, and they've talked about it, Murray went off script a lot. But
Yes.
everything he did, he kept within character of what he believed Venkman would do.
Agreed.
And I think that it comes across in all the right ways with everyone around him. Because, I think that Sigourney Weaver in this really sums it up in the right way. Because at one point, Dana goes, "You don't seem like a scientist to me. You're more like a game show host."
Right.
And it's so on point and so real for that character.
Yeah,
And yet
100%.
it still works because you're right. But everyone else around him, when it comes to the scientist, are, you're looking at Ray and Egon, who are just out of their minds most of the time. And then, of course, on the other end of that, you have Ernie Hudson, who is just wonderful as Winston, who is just the blue collar dude who shows up for a job.
He is the audience. He's the kind of the
Yes.
audience. He's our vehicle to see what's going on there. They can explain things to him so that they can explain things to us. And he only comes in like halfway through the movie, but it feels like he's there the entire time. He has such a presence that like you kind of forget that he's not there for the first half of the movie.
Yeah. And he does the thing that, you pay me however much money, I'll believe anything you want. And that's us, right?
Did he say paycheck in it? I'll believe it.
Mm-hmm.
The way he said it too, so perfect. He's
Steady
got
paycheck.
a lot of lines. That's what it is. Lines. It's just, but when he has them, he delivers them so perfectly. I've seen
Right? If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
I can't remember this. I didn't actually write this quote down, but I think it's this job ain't worth 11.5 a year or whatever.
Dude, it is unreal how quotable the movie is and how fully realized every character feels. Even Rick Moranis, Louis Tully is a character who is not in the movie like a ton, right? He's in it a lot, but he's not in it a ton. And yet every time I turn around and think about it, he's in the movie more.
Yeah.
And his character stands out. Janine, played by Annie Potts, same thing. She's incredible. Her presence is felt. Walter Peck, maybe one of the great villains of the 80s, because William Atherton is incredible. Like, everyone in this stands out. Everyone.
They fit their role perfectly. Perfectly. Even like there's these like small characters that you don't forget, but like I don't even know their names. I couldn't even tell you their character names, but you remember them. Like the maitre d' or the hotel concierge at the hotel. That's an outrage. I won't pay. The guest of the hotel. That's some cockroach.
Yeah.
These guys, like these little characters like pop up throughout the entire movie. And they're all like extremely memorable and like they lead to like funny lines, funny quotes, funny interactions. It really is a brilliant case study of like using everything you have to its utmost potential.
Yeah. Hell, dude, even Reginald Val Johnson has a cameo.
Yes.
It's great. But there's all these just little characters and people throughout that pop up, and it's really, really cool. And it's so funny because I'm rewatching Cheers right now. Not to promote another podcast like I've done before, but I started listening to Where Everybody Knows Your Name, a podcast that Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson have been doing.
Right.
It's about a year old now, and it's actually with Ted and Woody sometimes, because Woody is always off doing other things, and so he's not in every episode, even though the entire point is it's supposed to be them hanging out. But they have different people coming on, and people that they've known, and they interview them for about an hour and a half. They've had like Tom Selleck, they've had Dick Van Dyke, people they've worked with like Kristen Bell. It's really great. You should check it out if you haven't. But they talk about Cheers a ton, shockingly. And I love Cheers. And one of the best things about that show is that show cast everyone so perfectly, even in the small roles, so that every time you watched it, everyone stood out and everyone interacted in such a way that you could never see the show without them. Right. And that's why this movie is so good, because everyone feels like they fit their part in the right way, and the world feels built out around them, that every little bit stings. There is not a wasted moment in this movie. There's not a wasted joke in this movie. Everyone lands their part in the right way. Even the little things where it may not have landed, they just cut it. It was just easier, because there's about 8 minutes of deleted scenes that we've seen. I think there's probably more, but there's been about 8 minutes that they put out. And you understand why they cut it, because the joke may not have landed, and the movie is better for it.
You have made such a perfect movie that you have made it better just by like everything hits. Sometimes you throw like not so good jokes in there because you don't have a lot of jokes, or you don't have ones that are working or whatever. So like, oh, maybe somebody will like this. Every joke works that's in the movie. It's like, you need this, cut it out.
Yeah. It's one of the things that we'll get into also with 2016's Ghostbusters, a movie that I think could have used more editing, weirdly enough. Because I do think that some of the jokes don't land. And that's one of those things that, hell, Ghostbusters 2 runs into that a little bit, frankly speaking. A movie I like, but a movie that suffers under the weight of a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But this first film is such lightning in a bottle in that way, and I think that becomes part of why we go back to it. Um,
Yeah.
and we all look back with it with such reverence because it's rare for a film to land as hard as it does, where everything works down to like Ivan Reitman's direction. He really led this idea that he needed every character in frame where he could because you wanted to see the character's reaction to the characters around them. So very sitcom in a way, but you didn't want to cut and pan over. You wanted them in frame to see the reaction.
Yes.
The lot of the stuff they were doing, especially with the practical effects as well, was done on set. So that way the reactions were real when a thing would happen. And I think that that makes the movie work better. It's
It's a case
stronger
study.
for it.
It's a case study of how you should make films. Like you really,
Yeah.
like you are again using everything you can to make it work. Practical effects are phenomenal. The '80s, the practical effects are on point. I mean, yes,
God,
are they a
it
little,
looks amazing.
are they like silly at times?
Some.
Sure. The stay tough martial man's face, sure, it looks silly, but it works. Slimer works. Everything.
Slimer looks amazing.
Slimer does look amazing. I'll give you that. Actually, it looks better
I
now
mean,
than it does later on. You would think, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, I kind of love the look of most of the Ghost in this. I think
Yeah.
most of the Ghost actually look really great. There's a great, what I'd almost call it a puppet Ghost, the taxi cab driver, that looks phenomenal
Yeah.
at one moment in the movie. The earthquake sequence where everything in front of Dana's apartment starts to break apart and like the cop car is moving and all the layers are starting to move. It looks incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing. Um, this movie looks just wonderful.
100%. Absolutely. It is a wonderfully cinematic look. And again, I like how you said it, like how like, we keep people in view. We always,
Yeah.
the reaction is just as important as the line delivered. Sometimes you can get lost doing that. The line gets delivered to the audience instead of to the other actor. In this case, the actor, they're supporting it and everything else, or at least around it. Like one of my favorite reactions, or not even reactions, is Bill reacting to himself. Well, he's like, I'm going to go to the apartment and check her out. I'm gonna go to the apartment and check out her apartment.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so good. Well, so when Ray walks in for the first time and we meet the character, when Venkman's been doing the electroshock test, they leave the woman he's flirting with in front of us.
Yep. So we know what's
While
going
we're
on.
watching them in the background having the conversation where he hits Ray and stuff. And you're like, this is perfect. It's really funny. And you're doing it in a world where all these characters exist. Another perfect moment of that is when Venkman goes to talk to Dana outside she's been doing like the practice stuff with her
Right.
violinist in the
Yes,
orchestra.
rehearsals.
And so he's talking to her and they leave Timothy Carhart as the violinist in shot the
Yes.
entire time because he's watching the interactions and he's so baffled by them.
Right.
And I love that because again, you're seeing in real time how these people are interacting with the things around them. And it really helps. I mean, look at when they turn off the containment unit. They leave every character in shot so that everyone is interacting with the moment when they realize that they've made a mistake. Like, what a perfect way to see every character's reaction to that.
Yes. I love the fact like they start sneaking up the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, and like the
good.
Con Ed guy himself just goes,
Oh, shit.
it's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. And that this is the movie. This is how good this movie is at all times.
Yeah.
It always fires on this
All cylinders.
capacity. And you have to credit both Reitman, both Ramis, both Aykroyd, like both, or not both, but like you have to credit all of them.
All of them.
Murray,
All of them.
like they all understood the assignment and they all came in some capacity as the four creatives on this that really landed. Hell, Moranis too, because John Candy was who they wanted for Louis
Right.
Tully. And Candy could not wrap his head around the script, and he kept wanting to play the character like over the top with the German accent. And Reitman was like, it finally came to a point where we just had to cut ties because we just knew it wasn't going to work. So Candy turned the role down, and he sent it to Moranis the same day.
Yeah, and that
And Moranis was like, I know exactly how to play this guy.
this part that he was born to play this part. Honestly, this is the kind of character that Rick Moranis just excels at.
Yeah.
Excels at.
And he just nails it. And everyone just knew what they were doing and they came to play. And I think when everyone is on the same page in that capacity, your movie is better for it. And you look at something like Back to the Future, which comes out the next year, very similarly.
Mhm.
And enough that they fired the original actor because
Yep.
they knew it wasn't working. And you watch that movie, everyone understands the project that they're in and goes for
And they
it. And
all
it
work
really
together.
works.
Yeah, it's amazing to get that kind of chemistry. I mean, it definitely helps. Obviously, we know that Ramis and Murray had worked together famously a few times already. And this is obviously before they had their fallout and then eventual reconciliation. But this was like really at their peak. Stripes and this is where they were at their peak. They just like, kind of knew each other so well that they
Right.
could riff off each other. And Aykroyd was right there with them. Of course, Aykroyd was right there with them. So getting those three as like a nucleus, that like sets the tone. Everybody else kind of plays off of that. But luckily, what's good about that, they don't have the ego to like need to dominate. Like they allow Lewis, like him to have his moment. They allow Janine to have her moment. They allow Ernie Hudson to have his moment. They allow Sigourney to have her moments. Everybody's allowed to have their moment, even the small characters they play off of. Like Murray's, like I go back to that guy. I still have that guest in mind from the big cigar, big gas. So some cockroach. And you have Billy
Bite your
Murray
head off, man.
Cut your head off, man. That works because they're both give and taking like with each other. Like, doesn't work. It can still work with just Murray says it, but it works so much better because it's like this good give and take between the two.
Well, look at David Margills as the mayor. What a perfect version of that. Like, Lenny, you do this, Lenny. You just saved the lives of all these eligible New York voters.
What
Come on, are you kidding me?
what makes that work is Lenny's like response to that when he goes, Lenny. And he goes,
Yes.
like this, like, oh, really? He's like, not a false that guy. Come on, all right. And he's like, yeah, okay, all right, I got you. And it works so well because of that. I love that moment. One of my favorite moments. Again, great reaction by Mark as the mayor. Perfect.
It is. It's all perfect. It's why this movie continues to sing because everyone understood the assignment. And it's not like we can say a lot new, obviously, about this movie that hasn't been said over the last 41 years. But it's fun to be able to sit back and go, man, even 41 years ago, this is how you make movies. This is why we love movies. This is the kind of movie that made me love getting into properties in a new way because the more that I realized that there were other things out there, I got to start enjoying it more. And I got more with these characters. I got more from this world. I learned so much just from this movie, and it allowed me to love other things.
Yes. And I gotta say, it hasn't aged at all.
No.
At all. It does not feel dated. I mean, there's some references, obviously, they're more 80s. Obviously, telephones or technology is not what it would, but like it still feels like a timeless story being told at this point.
Oh, 100.
That's great.
100% it does. And it's interesting because in watching this, you realize, especially because over the last 40 years, it's had multiple releases on home video, including, old grainy VHS. It's had DVD, it's had Blu-ray, it's had 4K. And initially they did a run of Blu-rays, and this is so funny that I remember this, but it was because I was still working at Best Buy at the time. When Sony started tampering with the idea of doing 4K restorations for Blu-ray, and they tried to do a 4K restoration on Ghostbusters, and it was the worst the movie had ever looked. Something about the process was weird, and so like it was extra grainy in a wrong way, and like it made everything look strange when it would be like the special effects and things like that. So when they finally did the full like top to bottom restoration for the 4K release a couple years ago, it was like seeing that movie again for the first time. It has never looked more amazing, and they didn't like touch anything up. It was amazing that they went back to the film elements and could make it look that clean and pristine again, while also like it maintains its grit. It retains the realism because one of the things that the movie does really well is that New York feels like New York.
Yes.
It especially 80s New York. It
Mhm.
looks a little dour. It looks a little run down at times. It's looking a little more cleaned up in a way because it's coming out of the 70s, but it's still New York.
Right.
Even though some of it was shot in Los Angeles, but I digress. But like, you know, it has this kind of real grounded feel um where you're like, "Oh, it feels kind of grimy and gritty and blue collar and honest, and it comes through even in 4K. It actually makes it feel more that to me. It doesn't feel like they ever tried to clean it up. In fact, it just makes it stand out more
Yeah.
just how kind of grimy it can feel in a good way.
Yes, I 100% agree with you, man. It's amazing. Like it's just it's tactile and to
Yeah.
feel like the slime.
Tactile is the right word, not necessarily grimy, but tactile.
Yeah, it's what it is. Just it feels like you can reach out and touch it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been at those places, and I feel like I've been those places. Um, I will say, I just want to go back to the beginning again. How amazing! I mentioned this before, but I want to like go a little deeper. How quickly we established the characters. Like after the opening, the cold open, we said we go into the psychic study, and we get Doctor Venkman experimenting with two college students or whatever, graduate students, whoever they are, one of them being an attractive woman and one of them being a geek guy. And I love how over the course of like 2 minutes, we go, okay, this guy's a doctor. Okay, he wants the girl. He's gonna lie to say the girl's doing well. But not only is he gonna lie to say the girl's doing well, he's gonna lie to say the guy's doing bad. Just because like that's like that extra step of like being a dickish scientist. Like he doesn't care about the science at all. At all. Like he's like almost like because he has to go that extra step. Like, okay, maybe he just wants the girl, but he still wants the science. No, it doesn't care. He's like he has a heart. He's torturing the poor guy just because he wants to. He's a dick. And that's what again gets that right in there. And then when Ray comes in 2 seconds, we know who Ray is. Ray is this guy like geeky, nerdy guy who cares only about the craft and what's going on, the history, like what they're doing. But then there's Egon, who's like similar to Ray, but in a different kind of way. He's like Ray is the nerd or geek, and Harold Egon's the nerd, like the science, the actual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you have any hobbies? I collect spores, molds, and fungus. It's one of my favorite lines. Remember when you were going to put a drill through your head? That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. But he's such a. I love Egon. I love Egon so much. And what a fun character.
Yes.
Like
they established him so well that when he has to insult somebody later on, it is one of the funniest lines in the movie. Just by him saying the most simple line, "Your mother."
Yeah. Well, and then even like you understand just how towards the end of the movie, when he's so terrified of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, he goes, "I'm terrified beyond words," and like he can't even respond. Or
I'm terrified beyond
rational
or rational thought.
Yes,
I wrote the quote down. I'm terrified by the capacity for rational thought. Oh, then of course I love that. In fact, it starts out with Vankman, of course, like, "Okay, Egon, Ray's gone bye-bye."
Yeah, Ray's gone bye-bye, Egon. That whole sequence involving the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, once again, that is comedy gold in all the right ways. Especially well, I didn't think of anything. Did you think?
It's absolutely clear.
No, and then freaking Ray, what did you do?
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
It just popped in there. So it just the whole thing, and as you're realizing what it is, it's just beyond words perfect. And you texted me something so on point about that is imagine this movie coming out today.
Oh yeah.
And how people would react to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man thing now, because people don't know how to just like let things be kind of funny and over the top and ridiculous.
Agreed.
And it's funny because then my response back to you was just look at Afterlife.
Yes.
Because people's reactions to the Stay Puft Marshmallow minis and that is equally as ridiculous to me now as it would be to them reacting to this then.
Right.
Like if you were so mad about it, man, come on. This movie's been telling you what it is the entire time. This is so in keeping with what this movie is.
Absolutely, 100%. I was kind of, oh my god, this would get so lambasted. I think if you tried to pull this
Yes,
off. What a marshmallow man! It's
it
crashing
is
through the city.
hysterical.
It is
It's a
absolutely
kaiju
hysterical.
marshmallow man. Why are we mad?
Mother puss bucket. No one steps on a church in my town.
We've been going on about this all wrong. He's a sailor. We just get him laid. This whole thing goes away.
All right, we talk about the end part, and I know we jump all around, but while we're here, I'm going to say one of my other favorite lines in the whole movie. It's so Venkman, who, by the way, no doubt, this is my favorite Bill Murray character by far. This
Oh,
is like Bill
there's
Murray.
not even a doubt.
This is his iconic role. This is it, and he's like honestly top 5 iconic roles of the 1980s. Is for me.
I would
So
100% go as far to say yes, and I think Afterlife only reminds me why.
yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
No,
So
but I think that it should say something though, right? Because
absolutely
I think that with Ghostbusters 2, there's a little bit of like that they've talked about it. They've all talked about it, and we'll get to it. There's definitely a hit in
phoning
the
it in.
quality a little bit. But the thing that I realize from this movie to Afterlife is just how dialed in Murray is those 2 times
Mhm.
in a different way.
Yes,
Um, one, obviously, he's working with his friends here. You get to Afterlife, and there's a lot of saying goodbye to one of their
right,
friends, and
right,
so he shows up to play.
right.
And it just yeah, the Venkman character works because of him, especially when he's on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that line right here. It is. Starts talking about crossing. Excuse me, you said crossing the streams was bad, but
Yes.
then what happens next time? He goes, "I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it."
He's so good.
What
He
works about
just
his character for me also is the fact that he doesn't react to everything going around him. Like the worst shit goes down, he just kind of deadpans it the entire time. Like the whole time, it's almost like there's no shock. Like he's the guy who doesn't believe in this stuff necessarily at first. He sees it
mhm.
all in front of him, and he just like pretty much deadpans it throughout the entire. Like when he starts going in there, and he's like, "There is no data, only Zool." Oh, what a lovely singing voice she must have. Come on now. Oh, Zuli, baby. Come on now.
Oh, man. All that entire sequence with Dana. Do you
Want you
want
need
I
a
want you inside me. Well, it already sounds like you're, there's 2 people inside of you already.
the
It's a
funny
little crowded in there.
the actual the best part about that line to me, actually, the very Bill and Maria's thing is he pauses a second. He's like, "Yeah, can I? No, I can't."
Yeah. It Venkman honestly weirdly becomes the heart and soul of the movie, and he's such a sleazebag, and yet you don't care.
Right. That's exactly it. He's a sleazebag. You don't care. That's another big reason why I don't think it could be quite made today, considering today's things. But I think at this point, it's this kind of like there's an innocence about it in a way. Even though I know it's weird to say innocent sleazebag, but it's just
No, but I think you're right.
because he's kind of an innocent sleazebag in a way. Yeah, and that proves it right there. Go ahead. No, I can't. He can't. He's actually not gonna do it.
And
But
I
he's like,
think it helps that he's also surrounded by characters who are equally as innocent. I mean, you
yeah.
could argue that Ray Stans is just a child in
Oh,
an adult
100%.
body. Like
100%.
the whole thing when they get to the firehouse for the first time and does this
Oh,
pole work? God, you've got to try this pole. We should stay here tonight. Give it, try it out. And again, talk about
Best
leaving
part.
someone in frame. The retail or
The
the
realtor. Yep.
yeah, the realtor is just like the way she interacts with them as that's happening, especially after Egon goes, this place should be condemned. And he runs through everything wrong with it. And then Ray shows up and he's just such a child about using the pole. And that is why the movie continues to stand out and be so fun because the characters really are like oddly innocent considering things.
Innocent, and they have the chemistry. You believe these guys have been friends for like 20 years, pretty much. You guys have
Yeah.
been like finish their jokes. They kind of like they're on the same wavelength. They know what they're gonna do. They're like Egon and Ray. Egon and Ray. I was like look at Bankman like Bankman being
Yeah.
Bankman. Kind of it
Yeah.
just fits very well, man. It's very well.
God, it's just so good. And man, the way that they build into this movie and the world as large of being like, of course, the one building that Dana, who he is falling for, would be the one building in New York that is also like the one that was built to be this gateway to bringing the dead back and like overtaking the world. And they build out this entire idea of this cult of Shandar. And
Yes.
you like it because it gives it a feel of this is actually scary shit. Like it grounds it in this like, oh my god, that's actually terrifying. And this was all thought out, and there's still this like potential cult out there, right?
Right.
It believes this shit.
Right. So
It works. It's fun. It makes things scary, and it gives real stakes to the situation.
right. Yeah. No. And you know what else it does? I think one reason it works so well is there is a lot of like there's a lot of humanity in the movie. There's a lot of human moments. Like you don't get them in comedies too often. Sometimes you kind of forget that in order for these things to really be work or really be funny, you have to have those like kind of moments where there's a pause and like you can't have everything be a riff. And one of the most important scenes in the movie is the scene between Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd in the car.
God, about Revelations.
The Revelations, and it's just like this pause of a moment, and like Winston gets real, and is like, like this. I stop to think this is what's happening, and then like Dan Aykroyd has to just stop, pause, and like, yeah, let's turn on some music, man. It's like the same thing. Like here's the stakes of the movie right here. We're gonna go on to some music and some fun bits again now, but just so you know, we're gonna pause to tell you how real this is going on. It's such a great acting moment between the two. Wonderful moment.
Oh my god, it's so good, and it also I like that moment because it has the whole thing where Ray's kind of like, well, every ancient religion or cult, and but Winston's like, yeah, but what if it's not? Because he clearly has a faith,
Right.
because there's the Ray, do you believe in God? Well, I've never met the man.
Right. Yep.
And so it does play also into like Winston actually being this dude who, for being here and seeing the stuff that they're seeing, he starts to see something he has like lived through, and
Right.
these things he's felt, and these things that he may have been raised on. Like he has a faith,
Yep.
and I really appreciate that because as someone who doesn't, I'm very agnostic. I grew up in a very religious family. I do appreciate someone who can put that aside for the things they're seeing, and then you have it like this debate of faith versus science in some capacity. And
Absolutely.
this scientist going, "Oh my god, what if it is real?" And I'm turning on the music, like
Yeah.
because to break the tension, because it sits for like a good 10 seconds of like uncomfortableness.
Yeah. It's why he makes the perfect like foursome part, like to the trio. The trio have been established. It's kind of I guess it's kind of funny. Like I said, you don't realize he's not in the movie because the first half is just a trio, and when he comes in to solidify, he adds that element that's not there. I mean, it's a part of Ray because Ray is kind of the skeptic in a way, but I'm not Ray. I'm sorry, Venkman. Venkman is the skeptic kind of a way, but he's also been with them for so long that he's just kind of going with it. Winston is that true skeptic, like Kelly said, like, I'll believe whatever you want for a steady paycheck, whatever.
Yep.
Tell him about the Twinkie. What about the Twinkie? But like all like little things, but he like kind of like is again that audience member gets to have that stuff like explained to him. Because we haven't been with the trio for 20 years. It's a way to help establish those characters even further down the line. I love that so far. I love that with them.
Oh, I do too. And again, I think it's just the thing I love about this movie. All these things that it does, all these just wonderful little moments that really build out the world and the characters and their interactions, and I feel like it just remains special
Yes.
because you can't like we've had Ghostbusters movies since. This same team made a sequel that is not nearly as good as the original.
4 years
Uh
later, maybe 5 years later.
5
5
years
years later.
later. It took them 5 years to even get to that point.
Mhm.
I guess 4 years probably in like making it, but
Filming it.
still.
Yeah, so that's what I was going for. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it even then they couldn't do that.
Not at all.
And it just reminds you in rewatching this, you're like, "Oh my god." Like this is the movie of movies in so many ways, and like I'll argue when we get to it, I think Afterlife gets the closest because it really tries to go back to that like grounded, tactile, world building, character building thing. I understand every one of those characters
Yeah,
by the time that movie is over.
it
And
really
I
is.
know most of them up front. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I got to go back to that one. It's been a long time, so I can't really comment on that. But I will comment on the fact that I do think this is an absolute definition of lightning in a bottle. That is
right.
like extremely hard to replicate. And if you even
It's
get close, you're doing a great job if you even get close to it.
it's so interesting because 84 and 85 are full of movies like this.
Yeah.
In a way that I think we sometimes take for granted. Because and look, making any movie is hard. So
Yes.
a movie even being good is a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that people talk about all the time in the industry. We've seen it firsthand, just working on a small YouTube show. It
Mm-hmm.
is a miracle to make something good,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in 84 and 85, when you have this, you have Back to the Future, you have Beverly Hills Cop, you have Karate Kid, you have The Goonies, you have all Gremlins, all these movies with just impeccable cast, impeccable director, impeccable score, impeccable script, and it all comes together in a way that it becomes iconic. And I'm not even saying that just because we grew up on them,
Right.
but like objectively speaking, watching those movies, it's hard you'd be hard pressed to argue that they don't land so specifically because the right pieces came into play in a very specific way. And there's a reason that so many of them are things that people keep trying to go back to now because they specifically land in such a way that you want to revisit those characters. Even if it's been 40 years, there's a reason the Goonies cast is now wanting to get back together.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we just had another Beverly Hills Cop. There's a reason we had a Karate Kid sequel in theaters this summer while also having a TV show that ran 6 seasons. And
Trying to
Ghostbusters
recapture those.
now has had 4 movie sequels, a video game sequel, multiple comic books, multiple TV shows, a new animated series on the way, another movie on the way, an animated film on the way.
They're trying to expand out again, and I love it for it.
Right.
Love them for it.
I do too. It's
I'd
just
rather, and I hear the thing is about this, and some people will say like maybe they shouldn't, and you should leave well enough alone. I understand that because like again, I just said it's hard to recapture lightning in a bottle, and it's really, almost impossible to do so. I understand that sometimes that stuff happens. I mean, Happy Gilmore 2 is an example. Tried to recapture Happy Gilmore's fame, didn't work very well.
no,
I liked it
it
a little
sure
more than you
didn't.
did. I liked it a little more than you did, but it still didn't come
It's not
close to
good.
recapturing that magic. But I'd rather live in a world where they take a swing at trying to,
Sure.
honestly, because I get to
No,
revisit the
yeah.
characters. At least I get to revisit the world, revisit the characters. I got to revisit Happy, even Happy Gilmore, even though it wasn't that great of a movie. I got to revisit Happy for a couple of years. Oh, okay, all right, cool. Ghostbusters much better, but even then, it's like kind of like I still got to revisit that world and see these characters I grew up with. I just got chills seeing them. They didn't have to do anything.
No.
Old Man Murray, Old Man Aykroyd just show up. I'm like, yeah, there's my boys.
Yeah.
It's good to be home.
There's a reason that Afterlife had such an emotional impact for a lot of people who grew up on those movies.
It was the same way as when Force Awakens trailer hit and Han Solo appears at the end and says, Chewie, we're home.
Dude, I mean, look, Dial of Destiny. That whole opening of that movie, de-aged or not, you get that like chill factor, right?
Yes.
And then when you finally get to the sequence in Tangier where he puts on the hat again for the first time and you see him back in the leather coat, you're like, God damn, dude.
It's good to be home. It's good to be
The
home.
dude, Beverly Hills Cop. Just seen Murphy in that Detroit jacket again. Come on.
Pure gold, man. Pure gold.
That
So that's
and
the thing. You're not going to
yeah,
get back to where it was, but you can still take those things because sometimes you do come close. I think
yes.
Dial Destiny did a great job of updating the character. You know that. I'm going to save it for you do. I think Beverly Hills Cop 4 actually had a great fun time with it. There's a lot to love in that movie. It should have been in theaters. Ghostbusters does a great job. I think they does a great job as well. A lot of films like that updated. Like hell, we're going to go see The Naked Gun soon.
Yeah.
And I, from all intent, from
Thrilled.
everything I have heard, I can't say definitively because I've not seen it, but everything I've heard is that they actually do match the tone almost perfectly, like pretty well. That's with a new cast. So awesome. I can't wait to see if that works. But
I know. I've liked all the trailers so far.
take a swing.
Take a swing.
Huh?
You can do stuff with these properties still.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And I know
I
there's other
also,
arguments to make new stuff. Don't rely on old properties. There's a reason why they get made is because people like to revisit these characters, like to revisit
but
their scenes.
also,
You can do
it's
both.
it's also a bad argument when, truth of the matter, a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of new shit every year that no one's going to.
Yes, 100%.
Like,
100%. They scream and
people
scream
are
about it.
taking swings.
Yeah.
It just means that either you gotta show up, or if you don't, you can't really complain about it.
100%.
And
Absolutely.
I know it's expensive to go to the movies, I know that, but, like, yes, we're gonna get a 8th Jurassic Park movie now, because the new ones keeps making money. You know
Right.
why? Because people like dinosaurs. They like going to those movies. That's
Shocker.
just what it is. And you
Shocker.
can't shame people for that shit. You
Nope.
can't. Like, yes, there is also inherently a danger into nostalgia, and there's nothing. I'm not gonna argue that otherwise. But you know what, man? Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Like, how many Terminator sequels have we had? Not every one of them lands, but when it
Mm-hmm.
works, it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that that's what Ghostbusters does. Not
Yeah.
every one of them lands in the same way as the original, but the ones that do land, they land for a reason, and it makes them fun.
Agreed.
But you can't argue that when you look at this original movie, that it wasn't just exactly the lightning in a bottle moment that most people dream of.
Yes.
This
Agreed.
movie made over $230 million in 1984.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money. I mean, I know that
Wow.
doesn't sound like a lot now, but, like,
In 1980s?
in the 80s, that was huge. Its total gross now, I think, is, like, with re-releases and stuff, it's like 370 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right, man.
Like, that's insane. This movie is so special. It continues to be special. You could talk about any one of the numbers of things, like the Gozer dogs. What an iconic design.
Yes. Still to this day, I think about those. Those are phenomenal designs at that point. Yeah.
Phenomenal designs, super kinda scary, but also cute.
It's also
Um,
very 80s. I feel like that was the time for those kind of designs. Like
yeah.
it's that, Everybody's Story, Labyrinth, Legend, all these kind of animals are created like that in that time were just I wish you would go back to more of that. I know like it's a sense of like, oh well, you can make it more realistic with CGI. No, you can kind of, but it feels like it needs to be there on set, or at least somewhat. Something has to be there a little bit. So you gotta like I'm all for a practical and CGI combining to make something great. No, that's
Well, I think that, I think Afterlife did a really good job with that. I think that I think when filmmakers really understand that, it really works.
Mhm.
Weirdly enough, I think Gareth Edwards did a really great job with that in one key sequence in the new Jurassic World movie.
Mhm.
The sequence involving the T-Rex is both very CGI and very practical, and the stuff when it works, it really works.
Right.
Um, but I'm with you, and I think that this movie was a great example of that because, again, they tried to do as much on set as they could. Uh,
Mm.
from Ivan Reitman's own mouth, he wanted to make sure that if he was doing this stuff, he could do it and you would see it and you would feel it in the same way that they were. Now,
Right.
granted, obviously, you can't necessarily have the proton pack, like lightning beams on set the same way, but like you can find a way to tactically do that and make it
Right.
work.
Right.
Um,
It's explosions out somewhere, or some set with some
yeah,
sparks and
yeah.
stuff. We just get an idea of it. Unlicensed nuclear reactor in our backs.
Yes, correct. I mean, dude, this movie, again, how many times are we going to say it? How quotable is this
So
movie? I blame
it,
myself. Me too.
me too. It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
He's an ugly little spud, isn't he?
I
I
think he
think he
heard
can
you,
hear you,
Ray.
Ray. Like, again, it's just, it's one of those, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen this movie, and before the line would be said, I was just saying it.
And chuckling. And
Yeah.
chuckling at the same time. That's and talk about reactions. Like speaking of that particular scene, when Ray first sees Slimer, he's got a cigarette in his mouth, and then like he sees it and it just like starts dangling out of his mouth. Like it's like that's actually like something he needed to choose to do. But it
Yes.
added, you're like, perfect. That's perfect for that
Which
character.
he then, when Dana walks in for the first time into the Ghostbusters office, and he's working on the car, and he like turns and tilts his head, and he's got the cigarette dangling out of his mouth the same way
Yeah.
because he's both shocked someone is walking in, but also he's checking her out.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
100%.
and it's a great moment.
Oh. Oh,
Hey,
man.
Janine, stop staring at me. You got those bug eyes. Hey, Janine, sorry
Sorry
about
about
that
the
bug
bug
eye
eyes. I'll be in
comment.
my office. No, when he steps on himself really quickly, he can't really apologize. He can't apologize. It's against his that's against his thing. But he's got to do it because he's not a dick. He's not really a dick. So just do it really quickly, like kind of subtle subliminal. Yeah, sorry about the bug eyes. Okay, so I'm gonna be in my office.
And it's once again showing also though that's kind of why this movie works because again there's like this weird childlike innocence where even Venkman's like, I'm really not an asshole. I pretend to
Right.
be one,
Right.
but I'm really not.
Right. He's only an asshole for so far, for so long.
Right.
This way.
It's so good, man. I
Uh,
just God, I love this movie and I can't get enough of it. I just it's one of those things when you revisit it anything and it just feels like a warm blanket.
yes.
You know, and it just you watch it and it wraps around you and every beat lands, every joke is funny, every actor delivers their performance, every scene makes you laugh or makes you feel something. The Lewis running out of the apartment being chased by the Gozer dog and going up to the restaurant is one of the funniest things in any movie because he's so terrified and the scream as he like goes down and there's just stark quiet in the restaurant and then he disappears off camera and everyone just goes back to eating and making noise
New
is
York.
one of the best bits in very New York. And again, they so made it a point that New York would be a character in this. And I love that because
Hey,
it feels it.
I'm the one that gives the ride. You want someone to talk to me? What an asshole.
Yeah, and then him running off saying how everyone here will perish and
I
oh
didn't even
god,
write the
it's so
quote
good.
down when he's talking to you guys later on. Many floors know that they burned in hell. Many, I don't know what it is now.
Yeah,
Floors, I can tell you. And you're like, yeah.
uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Moranis delivers it with such ease too.
And, yes. Uh,
Would you like some coffee?
yes, have
Do
some.
I? Yes, have some. Yes,
Yes,
have
have
some.
some.
Oh god, it's just so good, and I just can't get enough of this movie. I've seen this movie 200 plus times, easy.
Easily, and I'll watch it again. I can watch it again. I can watch it every day and still like laugh my ass off at almost every line. Almost every line. Every line is a quote almost. Like, legitimately, almost every line is a quote. I can go
Is
through a couple
is
more.
it crazy that this movie became as iconic as it did in some capacity? Like, it feels so outside of the mainstream in a lot of ways, and yet I'm so glad that it took off the way that it did
Yeah, that's
because,
a good point.
you know, am I not
Yeah.
wrong?
I mean, I guess it is, but it is. I guess the way it gets around it is you kind of forget somehow how big Murray and Aykroyd and Ramis were like coming off
Right.
Saturday Night Live and stuff. So
And
they kind of made
Stripes.
it in Stripes. So they kind of made it cool. They were the cool because Saturday Night Live was so cool.
Right.
And they left, they were
100%.
still so cool. So the film itself probably wouldn't have worked. Well, obviously, wouldn't have worked for anybody else. But as far as like being cool, the cool factor, they couldn't have done it. But having the cool kids do that made it
Yeah.
palatable. I think is what it was.
I think you're right, but it's just so fascinating
It is fascinating. It absolutely is fascinating.
because yeah, for all intents and purposes, this really shouldn't have landed in the same way, I feel like. And that sounds weird, but it just doesn't seem like the kind of thing that the GA normally leans towards. But
Right.
again, I'd also argue that this is what made the 80s so cool. Because the stuff that really landed, it was so different. You look at Back to the Future, that's another one that sometimes I'm shocked.
Right.
Like
If you don't know what
it's
the GA is, by the way, folks, you're probably one of them.
yes,
The
correct.
general audience.
The general audience, in which we are,
Yeah, we are. But we're
technically
also,
speaking. But we're also like deeper into this a lot of the time, so I feel like we're
our executive
not.
producer is definitely more GA.
Yes, our executive producer is absolutely the GA in this. Many of our listeners are, and it just there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at
Like
all. Absolutely.
I just I'm always going to be fascinated that this took off, because this kind of looks like a UHF to me, a movie that like on paper, I'm like, there's no world that the audience will react. And guess what? UHF really didn't do well when it initially came out.
Right. Right.
And
I remember that not doing
yeah,
well. And be like,
but
oh, it's
this
Bond, it's
does.
Bond. This one, yeah, this one hit.
It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Um,
amazing. Oh, so good. Uh,
Also, love the use of montage in this when the Ghostbusters finally become the Ghostbusters. Using people like Larry King and Casey Kasem, like legitimate people of
right,
note, as people to build who these guys are in the media. Love
right,
all the different posters and things that we see in the like article covers. My favorite is the people talking about, do ghosts have rights? Like they start, it's one of the ones, it's like, ghosts in the afterlife, do they have rights? Like
right,
talking about whether what they're doing is right or wrong, because how on point that someone would start talking about that in this capacity.
right, right.
um, I love that whole sequence. I think it's so good.
You're the one to know. I was Elvis, and have you seen him lately?
Yes, correct. My grandmother used to spin yarns about a spectral locomotive that went blowing past the house. Like, it's just so good, man.
It works. It works so well.
It works so well. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. This movie means so much to me. It came to me very early on in my life. Like I said, like it was something that really mattered.
Yes,
My parents used to watch it a lot, and because of that, I really came around on it. It has been in my life longer than most things, you know?
I have never fully ever put together a list, as some of my friends have. I think you've tried to, like, of a top 50 or 100 movies of all time of your for yourself. And because I've always just had, it's just too overwhelming to try. I kind of started it and I stop, I started, I stop. But I will tell you this film is absolutely on there, somewhere
This
in my top.
this film is in my top 10 personal of all time, and I've been working on this for about 2 years because I've been curating a list of films I feel like people need to see before they die. And this is one of those movies. I genuinely believe that this movie is that good. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely believe that this movie matters that much. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely believe the cast is that good. I believe it earned its spot in being as iconic as it became.
Well, it's also
Again,
definitively a time in a bottle kind of movie. This is like, if you talk
yeah.
about 1980s movies, this is one of the ones that always is going to be brought up. Always.
Honestly, I'd argue it's one of the best movies of the 80s.
Oh, easily. I would
Easily.
not argue against that. That's not even an argument at this point. I think it's definitively one of the best movies of the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there with, again, Back to the Future, Blues Brothers, like,
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah, like E.T. There's
Mhm.
just a list of 80s films that just have really transcended time and just really held their place,
Mm.
and this is one of them. And again, I think that because
Empire
people
Strikes
love the
Back.
world so much.
But in there, I'd be
I know
fired
you
up
did.
by their job.
That's fair. Uh, the way it took hold of everyone, and again, I think the Saturday morning cartoons helped. I think that
Yeah.
the comics helped. I think that allowing the world to continue on really solidified why we love this one.
I think it's funny, and maybe it's because I've fallen out. You're a big proponent of it, and I've fallen out of it, but I'm kind of sort of getting back in. It's amazing what, like, the multimedia side of things can really
Mhm,
do for a film. You have
mhm.
one movie, but then you release books and comics and games and everything. You just get more into that universe and more into that world. All of a sudden, like, it pays you back. So when you watch it again, you see them in a new light, and want to see more things going on. It's like, oh, and it's just so rewarding that way. I think IP should really, some movies should start taking more advantage of that and really trying to
I
keep it.
100% agree, and that again, we'll talk about it a lot more once we get to Afterlife. But I think that that's why I pushed back so hard um, on a lot of our mutuals when that movie came out, because they were like, I don't understand why they treated it like Ghostbusters had reverence and like it mattered. And I'm like,
It
you have
did.
to understand, for a generation it did. Like,
Yeah.
we built this out so hard with animated series and with comic books and all these different things. Like, it really built a world that had so much more to it than just being a funny movie, you know?
100%. 100%.
And I think that's yeah, I'm such a proponent for multimedia storytelling. I really believe that if there's a universe worth exploring, a great way to do it is in other mediums. Doctor Who has really pushed that for me. Obviously, Star Wars has been that way for me, Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters. And I think that continues to be why I love them all so much, because
Mhm.
I've really invested my time in the different books and the different comics and the different games and whatever it is, the audio dramas even,
Yep.
thing that Lucasfilm should really do with Indiana Jones, frankly speaking.
We've been pushing that for a while. Yeah, they should
Yeah.
do that.
Um,
Absolutely.
but
But
all of that just goes back to showing that 1984's Ghostbusters really is that movie. This is a movie that knows what it is up front. It is endlessly quotable. The cast is fantastic. The direction could not be better for its time. The effects work is just out of this world. For being a movie made in 1984 on $30 million, you would never know it.
you know what else we haven't even touched on is Elmer Bernstein's score.
I was getting there.
Okay.
That was my last point. Was the one thing we hadn't talked about was the score.
Oh,
A score
so
that
good.
remains so iconic. Um, you, dude, it's so good. It gives this movie its own extra character on top of it.
Absolutely. And I even talked about the theme song by Ray Parker Jr., which is obviously also iconic in and of itself. But the score
For
itself,
sure.
the piano riffs, like like, it just
Yeah.
adds so much like kinetic energy to it. And, then also, it also has that creepy music in the beginning. So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's
And
like,
it's so good. And the little because they use that at the beginning of Afterlife also. They really leaned in on making a score that was really similar. And I know I keep going back to Afterlife. It's just they feel like a A-B thing for me now. Which is so funny because there's 2 movies between it. But like when I think of Ghostbusters, I immediately think of also Afterlife.
right. I get that.
Um,
I haven't seen Afterlife since I think the theaters. Maybe I
oh,
only
dude,
saw it one time.
I've watched it
And it's
so
not that's not my decry on the movie. It's more of a time where I don't rewatch movies as much as I used to. I used to rewatch movies all the time. I don't rewatch them as much as I used to. So it's not a crime. I remember loving Afterlife. So I can't wait
yeah.
to get there to give me an excuse to watch it again and really dive in. And I think I probably watch it one more time after that, honestly. But it was so good that I watched it at least one more time. But
Yeah.
it's been a while.
It's just I love the score for this movie.
Yeah.
It really is wonderful, and it really adds an extra layer to everything going on, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I really appreciate that. Cat, I can hear you.
She wants to just speak
He
her
just
mind.
wants to be heard. He
He wants to
just
speak his
wants to be
mind.
heard.
Speak his
He
mind, absolutely.
he's an orange cat. He's an asshole. He has a single brain cell.
Shocking,
Yep,
shocking.
and there he goes. He's off. Okay. But I mean, look, man, y what more can you say? This movie is perfect.
I
It
have
is.
I have a few more notes. Most of them are quotes, but I'm gonna go through them because I just can't not say them. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's fair.
Hey, here we go. I'm gonna try doing rapid fire. Mass sponge migration. Ray, they moved and migrated about a foot and a half.
Egon.
My uncle thought he was Saint Jerome.
I'd
I
say
called him
that's
big
that,
yes.
yes.
Have you menstruated? What is that? What does that to do with it? Back
Back
off,
off,
man.
man. I'm a
Science.
scientist. It's just again,
Listen,
it's just
do you smell
quotable.
something? Listen, do you smell something?
It's so dumb.
Get her!
I just
Get her, Ray.
yeah, get her. That was your brilliant plan, Ray. Oh, it's just so good.
And the time we didn't talk about the scene really too much when Venkman goes into Sigourney to Dana's apartment for the first time. They hate this. That's right, boys. Dr. Venkman's here. That's the bedroom. Nothing happened in there. What a crime.
It's just so
Look at all the junk food. And then the capture, first time they capture a ghost. The flowers are
are
still
still
standing.
standing.
Uh, of course, the Walter, we barely mentioned Walter Peck. You mentioned William Atkinson's greatest shit weasel of the 80s. This and Die Hard actually kind of combine those two characters. Those are like the best shit weasels in the whole thing. But I mentioned the dickless joke, but it's fun enough to talk about again. The way it's such a Bill Murray comic timing there. Like, they cause an explosion. Is this true? Yes, sir. He has no dick. I'm like, oh, this man has no dick.
God, Atherton's so good at playing just a bad dude, enough that even on Lost, they cast him to be just an asshole.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. So perfect.
So he's Walter Peck is just so good. He's such a great villain. Atherton just nails it. He's just a thorn in their side at all times. Everything is, just bureaucratic nonsense in a way that just makes sense. It's so good.
Biblical proportions, fire and rain, mass hysteria. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Because he can't like come up with anything good, so like just joke like that, but it works still. But that even leads to some of my better part, the prison scene when they're in jail, they're coming over the plan. Ray has that aside to him. You never studied.
Yeah, you never studied.
And like 2 minutes later, he gets something like easy. He's like, never studied.
It's just so good.
Rat is so good. Last one I'll do real quick. Where do these stairs go? They go up, Ray. They go up. And Lewis says, wow, the superintendent's gonna be pissed. Who does your taxes? What? You want to get a sample of your brain? Okay. You know what? I actually noticed something. I'll kind of close out with the last two things. I actually noticed something that I don't know if I ever really fully conceptualized before. So Dana and Lewis definitely fucked.
There's a deleted scene.
There is. Yeah. I might have missed that one. Okay, so they definitely did.
Yeah.
Before, like I realized, like they sat up and I'm like, oh yeah, the gatekeeper, the master got together. Oh, yeah. Poor Lewis doesn't even remember it.
No, he does. There's a deleted scene in which they kind of deal with that.
I probably deleted scenes such a long time ago. I don't remember a lot of them.
Yeah, because he actually asked Dana about it, and no, Lewis, that type of thing.
All right, no, Lewis didn't happen. Right? Okay, gotcha. Okay, fair. And finally, I'll end it with this. Winston has the best line to end the movie with. I love this town.
Oh, it's so good.
And they have the music and dancing and celebration. And that's what it feels like when you watch this movie. It's just this music, celebration, dancing. Oh man, that's it. I don't even say anymore. We don't even have to rate it. I'm not going to bother rating it. It's 11 out of 11. We know what it is. It's definitely 11 out of 11 for both of us.
No, that's not true.
That's true. You're right. Technically speaking,
it is a 13 out of 11, and I will be taking no notes at this time.
Absolutely agreed. The Notebook can always say 11 because it won't let us go any higher. But in our hearts, in our minds, 13 out of 11.
It's correct.
It's correct. All right, PJ, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me wherever podcasts are sold, hanging out with this gentleman here on our weekly podcast. You can also find me at all social medias, wherever social medias are sold, at PJ_Campbell.
Paul Blue Sky at social. I'm at Twitter at Paul _Denuzio, but I don't go there. I'm there every once in a while. I'm all over this podcast, obviously, in this channel, PLD Projects. For this, we do review my Lego talking about the V franchise and related. That's been on a little bit of a hiatus. We have some Lego going through some stuff as far as real life goes and scheduling and stuff. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks to tackle the Big Finish stuff. The audio just released for V and released last year, and the new one's releasing this next month, I believe. I'm going to take care of that. I do Class Action with Maddie and Richard Jarby. I do Holy Snokes every other week now, our Star Wars podcast. This one we do kind of weekly. If you're on Patreon, we do it weekly because every other week we're off. We're doing the MCU rewatch, and we'll eventually do something else when we get past that. But I don't know what that'll be, but that's a long time in the future. It's going to be there for a while. But yeah, we're going to continue on in 2 weeks. We're going to be doing Ghostbusters 2 from 1990, I believe I want to say. Or is it 89?
1989.
1989. That's right. 89.
Right. It should be 89.
1989's Ghostbusters 2, which, I'm interested to see where we end up on. I know we both kind of made allusions to it that obviously capture lightning in a bottle doesn't quite do it. we still enjoy it. It's a lot of fun with it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to tackle, I'm sure. I guess that will do it. And we will see you next time here. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Help us fight the evil algorithm. Join the Patreon if you can. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. And if not, just share it and all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm not good at that, but I'll say it anyway. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.